Um, Danny shared with me, and I've been looking at, I did a town hall, and Danny shared with me some concerns about the skip, and so I want to make sure that we get this right. This is skip task 1, prompt 1. You got to have a set of recommendations that include both your short and long-term objectives as a result of your needs assessment. It also says that you have to have a set of recommendations from your assessment of the school leadership part of the teacher working condition survey. Now, I would suggest they should not just kind of go off on their own. The TWC and the Advanced Ed in South Carolina, as you all know, are public documents. This is the part that makes administrators nervous. We've had a situation this past week where we had a principal that got angry about the APTEL, and I thought, boy, wait till they get to the skip when they look at school leadership if they're mad about the APTEL, about the growth plan. So it's clear here what you have to do. You have to have a set of recommendations. Now, these go into your marketing plan. So if we go and look at the state grading rubric, and I've highlighted them, recommendations for the school improvement plan, you got to have the recommendations from the needs assessment, but also the recommendations for the school improvement plan. And as we know, that's what those recommendations were from school leadership. The candidate will lead a team, determine climate of the school, should make recommendations to be addressed in the school improvement plan. So we should see at least 3 specific activities in the marketing plan. We'll go back to the rubric on it. We should see at least 3 specific activities in the marketing plan. Short-term goal, long-term goal, recommendations for improvement of school leadership. We should see at least 3. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be more than 3. Right. But we have to see those 3. According to the state, and we'll get to the grading rubric from the marketing plan. Needs assessment results and analysis results or resource identification. In addition to marketing plan, evidence is creative and collaborative leadership and an expert use of technology. So, I mean, it all has to be there. We have to have at least those 3 things. And a lot of the marketing plans that I'm seeing, they only address short and long-term goals. There's nothing in there in terms of a recommendation for improvement of school leadership. That has to be there. Again, short-term goals are things like communication. That's to bridge the gap in communication. Again, the needs assessment is for gaps in communication and nothing else. And it should be based in some sort of technology, Twitter, Facebook, some sort of social media to better connect with parents. And then long-term goals should be activities that are academically based, family math night, family reading night, those kinds of things. But one of the things that we want to point out here is a lot of the barriers or some of the barriers to getting parent involvement may in fact be part and parcel of school leadership. And we're trying to train the new wave of administrators is that if you want people to be involved, you have to find out what they want, and then you have to give them a seat at the table. If you want them to come and participate and help with their children. We can't continue the model of schooling where you stay at home and hush and we'll take care of it. And so those are the 3 things that we have to see. There should be no debate on those. They go right back to the grading rubric. So we got to see those 3 things. So that's the skip. The other thing that I had tonight, starting on April 14th, the Cape visit, the Cape report came back. Let me go to that. I had it pulled up and I went somewhere else. Let me go back and get it. Okay, the initial report is here. I don't know if this was sent to you or not. but here is the initial CAPE report. Dr. Bull has published that. He said in our meeting that it was the best report that he had seen come back. We do have two, according to him, we do have two stipulations for Standard 4, and I believe some AFIs, also areas for improvement. I think I saw, I don't want to misspeak, I saw at least 4. I don't know, but we have 4 AFIs and 2 stipulations. But to quote Dr. Bull, he said it was the best that he had seen. So thank you all for your part in that. Those stipulations and AFIs will have to be worked out, I guess, with the team as they come in, and Dr. Bull has already put a team together to work toward those. I think we're fairly clean. I did want to address one thing with you, and I did pull this up. CAPE standards for accreditation, and I'm going to remind us all, here are the 2 overarching standards that we have to make sure that we understand and abide by in our accreditation. These are the two principles of accreditation. Solid evidence that providers, graduates are competent and caring educators. Solid evidence. Can't just talk about it. We have to have evidence. That means I have to collect the statistics. We have to use the evidence artifacts. To that end, we have our evidences, the written evidences. We also had to create a competency folio, or I created the competency folio, Seth and I, so that we could show demonstration of competency rather than just writing about it. So again, I want to remind you that competency folio that we have in task stream that they have to contribute to every semester. The 3 semester folks have to do all 21, including the digital competencies. As you know, I have integrated those in that folio. And our regular people have to do half of it every semester. And then the last semester, they have to do a full round in their last semester. Be reminded that the digital learning competencies are embedded in that folio. Make sure you check for those. But again, the competency folio is not about telling us how competent you are. You got to show us. Again, we got to have solid evidence, not just written that they can't argue for competency. It's kind of like when we tell students when they're trying to determine who uses best practices in their schools. You can't survey for best practices because everybody will tell you that they use best practices. You have to go out and do the walkthroughs. That's why those are required in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina. You have to go to the room and check. Well, the competency folio is the same principle. You have to go to the room and check. We have to have those things, those artifacts, those icons, those examples, those products of work that go into the competency folio. They write their narrative and argue for competency during the task. You know that, like in task 5 of the AppSell and task 4 of the AppTell. In each one of these, we allow them to argue their competency. That's called competency analysis. That's where they make their case that I am competent. But we have to show proof. We have to show proof that they're competent. So make sure that you stay after them about when they're doing their evidence artifacts, when they're doing their clinical hours. Write down on your log, this is the proof that I could show. And that's a tracking system for them where they can go back and pull those. I don't want to pull up competency folios and see competency analysis where they're arguing that they're competency, but they show me no proof of competency. Again, it goes right back to CAPE standards, solid evidence. It can't just be, I'm competent because I say I am. And the other is there must be solid evidence that the provider has the capacity to create a culture of evidence and use it to maintain and enhance the quality of professional programs. That's why we have to work these evidence artifacts. And we have to follow them implicitly because we have all of our standards are embedded in them, not just the CAPE standards, our ISTE, our Pell standards, and our NSSC, North Carolina School Leaders. All of those are embedded in those evidence artifacts. And that's how we assure ourselves, our client system, our accreditors, and our licensing agent that that our students, when we get through with them, they are competent. And that's the way we ensure that our employers. Standard 4 is about exit. Let me go back to that. Standard 4 is program impact. And I went back and reread that again today. We have to be sure that our program has impact, that our folks can do what we say that they can do, and that when in practice they are competent in practice. But it can't just be through a folio, or it's an entire system that we do. But I want to thank you for what you do. Don't let up on the evidence artifacts ever. That's just as important as it's ever been, or maybe even more so with CAPE. CAPE's not about counting desks and books like the old SACs used to be. It's about outcomes. I feel good. We've got our digital learning competencies are integrated in our competency folio. I feel good about the things that we're doing. We're always trying to improve our class presentations, our content in our courses. I feel good about all of those and what you're doing. But we have to be ever vigilant that we're making sure that we pace these people, that we stay after them, that we don't let them off the hook. Danny and I were talking this morning. I think he's at a board meeting. One of the things that we've really that we can really see is that students that participate and keep up on a weekly basis do better than those who don't. And so I would encourage you. This is kind of the benediction now. You hear Just As I Am playing in the background. I would encourage you to make sure that you encourage your students to come online with you in a regular and sustained manner. Students who do that do a better job. Those that don't ever come online with you, I know I require you to come online every week, but students that never come online with you or never go back to the videos, they don't do and don't participate on a weekly basis, don't do nearly as well as those who do. We know that. This is also about retention. When they get behind, they tend to drop out. My plea is, it's here at mid-semester, we're at spring break. Redouble your efforts. Don't let them fall behind. Stay after them this week to get caught up. We've not having any classes this week, no sessions or any of that, for the express purpose of students catching up this week, anything that they're behind. And so do your audits, send emails about, hey, you got a week off this week. Here are the things you need to get caught up on. So let's start next week with hopefully everybody caught up and ready to go forward for the rest of the semester. So that's my benediction speech. That's my call to arms today. So that's where we are.
Dr. Lamb, I'm here.
Yes. Oh, there you are.
I'm driving. I just entered 74 West, returning back home from weekend. And just want to say thank you. I was listening to your presentation, and I don't know who's on the call, but I just want to say thank you all for the amazing work you do. We've received our CAPE FFR, and in my 20 plus years in higher education with accreditation, this is the best initial formative report I've seen. It is so good that we have 5 major standards we have to address. 2 of the standards, the most difficult, which is assessment, and the second standard that deals with recruitment. We have 0 questions, 0 comments accomplished.
Excellent.
The team does not want to hear or question or talk to us about anything relating to the 2 of those. At both the undergraduate and at the graduate level, we passed with flying colors. And It is a result of the work that you do with your rubrics, assessment, and things like that, that demonstrated the rigor and the depth to which we do what we do. For the other 3 areas, for standard 1, which is just knowledge, skills, disposition, There are some minor questions, nothing major. If I were to rate that, I would rate it proficient for both undergraduate and graduate. So we've already have out of the 9 standards or the 10 standards, we have 2 accomplished, and so far I've talked about 2 proficient.
Good.
For standard 3, which is clinical placement, no major questions. They only want to talk to, the only interview they want to conduct is with the folks who design the placement to get a better understanding of what we're doing. And if I were to rate both the advanced and the initial, that is proficient also. So now I'm talking about 10 standards. We have 4 proficient, 2 accomplished at this time out of 10. For the other standard, it's the same. The only area where we have concerns, AFIs and stipulations, deals with things external to what we do. That is the employer's satisfaction and candidate satisfaction. You know, those are aligned and doing a great job.
Dr. Bull, we've lost you. You're breaking up. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me just go through this quickly. The adjuncts faculty to meet with all faculty and on Palm Sunday, which is appealing to you all. If you could make the trip to Gardner Webb, please do so on Sunday. It will be probably like 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And students, please make sure to set up Zoom sessions, Dr. Lamb, for your candidates so that they all participate and be interviewed with the team in forum discussion as part of the accreditation process. I just want to appeal to everybody. The team is requested to meet all adjuncts on Sunday, which is April 14th.
Right.
It is the team's request, and I'm just appealing. If you could make the trip, that's fine. We could reimburse you. If not, please be available by Zoom. And I just want to thank you all for the amazing work you do. Sorry if you can't get me clear, it's because I'm driving and the network may not be too strong. And I just want to thank Dr. Lamb for the amazing work he's done coordinating this program, and Dr. Anita Sanders for the work they've done pulling this together. If you guys do not know, Dr. Lamb's program is 5% of the entire university's population. That's how strong that program is, 5%, and it's almost 50% of the School of Education's population, which is really a high number of the university's population. So as you could see, you guys are in an elite program doing a fantastic job. We really appreciate that. Do not underestimate what you do for Gardner Webb. You're the creme de la creme, the top of the line.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
All right. For those of you who, thank you, Dr. Bull. For those of you who are, again, we're inviting all of you to campus. We'll pay your travel for Sunday, April 14th. And we'll start meeting somewhere after lunch, about 2 o'clock, I would guess. We can meet over in Craig at my place, but if you can be on campus by about 2 Sunday afternoon, we'll have dinner that evening. But as many of you that can come. I know I've already arranged a couple of travel, but yeah, we'd love for you to come that Sunday. They will be here Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but adjuncts, it would be great if you could come that day. And the point of me coming on tonight is they will ask you the kind of things that I talked about this evening and Dr. Bull talked about. You know, what's the purpose of CAPE? Well, again, that's what I covered tonight. They want to know that you know. We have an outstanding program, some outstanding programs at Gardner Webb, but they want to know that you are an integral part of our faculty. Just like Dr. Sanders and Dr. Stone, I think both of them. But they want to see you and meet you and talk with you, and a kind of a review back to what Dr. Bull was talking about. Standard 4, I think we do an excellent job with Standard 4, but as a reminder, you know that we collect exit data through Institutional Effectiveness Office with Dr. Tubbs. We get SOIs, Student Opinion of Instruction. You know that I also, in your 605 shells, have a final reflection that's specifically CAPE driven that I put in, I think, last year. If you notice, it's more open-ended, and it speaks to what they got out of it themselves, what they believe the value of the program was. It speaks to Standard 4. So that survey, that exit survey in your 605 shell for those students, that is specifically for CAPE, for Standard 4. That's why I put it in there, because it speaks to candidate quality, program impact, what they believe they got, what do they think they've improved on during the time that they've been with us, what have we helped them to develop within themselves. So that survey is a Standard 4 survey. So make sure, and I've got a lot of those, students haven't sent them to me so I can collect them. But if you're teaching 605, or if you've got students who are in their final semester, please encourage them to take a few minutes and fill out that survey. I do read every one of them. I do respond with a personal note to every one of those students who sends me that survey. And I do keep those surveys, and I have them categorized. I have a file for them. But that's specifically, I have them specifically for this CAPE visit coming up. So when I'm asked about program impact, what the students think they got from the program, not just rate your overall experience or rate your instructor, but what do they think they've got? I have a survey where students have told us in an open-ended manner what they think the program impact has been. So encourage your students to fill that out. Again, they're in your 605 shells. Encourage your students to take a few minutes and fill those out for us. And they can email them directly to me. I read and respond to every one of them, and try to send a personal note. So that is obviously we can have some stipulations in that area, and so hopefully, if some of us are strong, it will kind of the rising tide will raise all boats, and it'll help with that. And so we can show some of the things that we're doing. Hopefully, it will set a positive tone. And we can work through these stipulations and areas for improvement. But I know that you all have worked hard over the last 2 years along with me, or 3, as we have changed our program to meet these CAPE standards. It's not been easy. I will acknowledge that. It's been a lot more work on all of you. And so I appreciate your efforts in that area, because it has been tough changing to CAPE from NCAPE. Completely different emphasis, more on outcomes than before. So I appreciate your help with this. Anybody have any questions for me?
Dale, can you send us a copy of the report?
I can. Right here it is. I have it on the screen. I'm going to include it with the video this evening.
Okay.
I wanted to, before I sent it to you, I wanted to make sure you understood what it was.
Okay.
So I have it on the screen right now, the link to the report, and I will send that link with today's video just in a few minutes as soon as this processes.
Okay.
Dale, will you send us just a brief cheat sheet of things that you think that they're going to want us to know?
Yes, ma'am. I've got it. Again, I've got that that one that I was using just a few minutes ago. That's a one-pager. I'm going to send that as well. But the biggest is do you know those 2 that I covered, the purpose of CAPE? They won't ask you to know individual standards and subsets of standards. They'll more want to know those 2 big purposes that they have. So yes, I have that cheat sheet as well that I will send it along with the report today. I told you as soon as we got the report back that I would share it with you and that we would go from there. And so although it's spring break week, that I felt it was important enough to come online tonight to do this, and so that we could get started on this now. If the report hadn't been back, I would have canceled for tonight. But since it was back, felt like it was important that we needed to get started on it. So I will send you the report. I will send you the cheat sheet and the link to tonight's video.
Thank
And
you.
you said you want us there on the 14th by 2?
2 o'clock. Whatever you need to do. But if you can come around 2 o'clock, and if that time changes, if we have a different schedule, but right now we're estimating about 2 o'clock. And we'll have dinner that evening. If they're not going to show up before then, I'll let you know. But it would be nice if you could. Right now, we're estimating 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Do you think the dinner will run late, and will we need to be there like the next morning?
I was assuming the last time that we did this, the dinner went. We had it in Rich Banquet Hall. I don't know where this one will be, but it went pretty late. It went past 8 o'clock. And so, I would drive in on Sunday morning and plan to stay Sunday night.
Okay, thank
That
you.
way you could be there Monday morning if needed. So most anybody could drive in that morning to get there by 2. That's why I said 2. Even if you're coming, from 4 or 5 hours away, you ought to be able to make it by 2. We'll get you in your hotel some time before dinner, hopefully, and then be there for the dinner and then spend the night. If we need you the next morning, if not, you can sleep in and get back on the road. I know it's kind of a hit and run, but it's good for them to see you there. One of the things that all these accrediting agencies, I don't want to speak for them, but all of you, the one thing that I've been maddened about is we cannot be perceived as a correspondence course where we don't have regular and sustained contact with our students, that we just pitch it out there and if they get it, fine, and that we're not interested in impact or outcomes. That will cause us not to get our accreditation. If they in any way suspect that we're running a correspondence course, a diploma mill, just pay you money, because we have a licensure component, a clinical and licensure component. Now you say, but Dale, they're doing competency based over at Western Governors, but those people are not getting a license. They have to go to their own district to get licensed and a clinical experience. That's the difference. For CAPE, we have to meet standard 2 on clinical experiences. That's the difference for us. And so we cannot be seen or perceived as a online diploma mill where we just do correspondence courses. They need to see that we're actually real people who know what we're doing, and it's a real business model. It's not some fly by night. And that's always the biggest concern that those folks have, is that you just made this up to make money and it's not really real. And so I'm hoping that, or I'm planning for, hope's not a plan, I'm planning for us to make sure and that everything that we've done is buttoned down, and that we're all squared away on our statisticals. We have everything. All of our folks know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that when they come, we want to make sure that we uphold our end. Dr. Bull, his final comment there, I don't know if you caught it or not, since we're pretty much half of the School of Education, we're the 800-pound gorilla, whether we want to be or not. And many of the cues that they will take in this system evaluation for accreditation will be based on us, because we're such a large part. If we look good, it makes everybody else look good. If we look bad, then we don't have a shot. So we have to be above reproach. I'll actually have to shave and put on clean clothes. Show up sober and clean clothes. But we'll do that. We'll do what it takes to get through that. We've made a big commitment in terms of time and effort and money, and we're too close now to give up on it. So we'll push on through. All righty. When I send the link to this one, again, I'll have this Google link so that you can see the report, and I will have the one-page cheat sheet, and it has links on it, by the way. It's a one-pager. You can read it, but it also has some links if you want to dig a little bit deeper. It's for CAPE Advanced Program. Thank you for joining me today on your spring break. I will see you again soon, probably 2 weeks, but I'll be back in touch before then. Everybody have a good week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.